Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Golly, I'll tell you, seeing the men, the fathers, this is, thank you for coming. Thank you for sitting in the bleachers. I'm sorry, I know they're not comfortable. I'm beyond touched and amazed. I sat around for the past half hour writing notes, because if I don't take notes, we'll go 3 hours, and I know you don't want to sit here for 3 hours, and I don't want to talk for 3 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing I've always come to learn at parent programs is the parents that come usually ain't the people you need to be talking to. And I know that. But it's one of those things that, hey, Mr. Boggs, we're in a crisis situation. What are you doing? And so if he doesn't do anything, you criticize him. And if he does do something, you still criticize him. I know the spotlight is on the school. The school is under a microscope, the administration, the teachers, and it's not fair. It's not fair. I've traveled 50 states and 48 countries with my work with teenagers and parents and teachers. And never in my career have I ever seen a school, staff, administration, teachers care so much about your kids. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, I think what they're going through is not healthy. Because I see some administrators saying, we can do more. And I'm not sure they can. I see some teachers crying and say, Jeff, you don't understand what we're going through. And so I have to talk to this teacher and say, hey, you need to let go a little bit. You can't own this. But if you can come every day and continue to do your job and inspire these kids and encourage these kids and motivate these kids and challenge the kids, discipline the kids, then you're doing your job. But then the kids walk out these doors and they go home to you. And so I want to ask you, what are we doing? As parents, what are we doing? I'll tell you what, I'm leaving tonight, heading back to Chicago. I'm not worried. I am not worried about your kids. I'm worried about some of your teachers because they're personalizing a lot of this. And I don't want them to. Your high school kids are resilient, they're fun. That girls' basketball game last night was one of the highlights of my year. I just wish Ann can hit a free throw. I met some of your, and I hear all over the world, oh, Jeff, teenagers today. You guys have awesome kids. And I'll tell you what, when I come into a school, and I've been in so many of them, within the first minute or two, I can tell whether I'm going to like a school or not. And so as I'm walking away tonight, I'm thinking to myself, would I want to send my kids here? If my kids can have some of the teachers that I've met, I'd want all my kids to go here. I have 5 daughters that I like most of the time. I don't laugh. It's not like you like all your kids all the time. I have 2 biological daughters, and I've got 3 adopted daughters. My 3 adopted daughters, about 21 months ago, their father died. And I'm proud of who they are. Matter of fact, this past summer, I said to Peyton, we were at lunch up in Pennsylvania. She came on a speaking engagement when she's 16 years old. I said, Peyton, how do you stay so positive? She said, my daddy wouldn't want me to have it any other way. I said, that's right. Now I have 2 biological daughters. I want to tell you a little bit about them. My oldest daughter, Tori, she's 23 years old. She's a dancer in New York City trying to make her way on Broadway. I'm proud of her because this is a journey that ain't easy. But I remember her junior year of high school, we sat down and she wasn't involved in sports. She wasn't involved in extracurricular activities. She didn't have a job. And I'm thinking, I pay the car, I pay the insurance, I pay the cell phone. She shops at Abercrombie and Fitch. I pay the money. She gets $50 a week in allowance. What's wrong with this picture? I sat her down and I said, baby, I said, we need to talk. She says, about what, Dad? Well, first we're going to talk about the birds and the bees. No, Dad, I know all about it. Well, we're still talking about it. Object A, object B. Jiggle, jiggle, things happen. She's like, Dad, this is too much for me. I said, we're going to talk about college. Where do you want to go? You want to go to big school, small school? You want to go north, south, east, west? Where do you want to go? She said, Dad, I'm gonna think about it. I know you are. A couple weeks later, she comes home. She's like, Dad, I figured it out. I'm like, what's that? Why are you late? They're like seniors in high school. They just ignore you and walk right on by, huh? I love it. Your kids come home late, we're about to beat them. We have a program at 7 p.m. You're like, I'll just show up when I get there. Sure, expect your kids to do what you're unwilling to do of yourself. Oh, yeah. I should probably stick to my script, huh? So thank you for coming. So my daughter, she says, Daddy, I figured it out. I said, what's that, baby? She says, I'm not college material. I was like, I know. I know. So was I going to push her to go to college? You know, I've come to think that I'm not sure if the price of education today is worth the value. Sometimes I think wish my daughters sometimes would think about maybe staying home, going to community college, staying invested, wanting to learn, get a job, suffer, struggle. Oh no, Jeff, no, we don't want our kids to grow up and have to go through some of the things I had to go through. I want to protect them. Why? I want my kids to be challenged. So she's in New York City working as a dancer, trying to figure things out. And let me tell you something, it takes courage to do what she's doing. She gets up, she goes, she auditions, she gets rejected. She comes home, she cries, she thinks about it, she gets back up the next day, she goes and she auditions, she gets rejected, she calls me, she's hysterically crying, I'm laughing, we have a great conversation. I mean, it's not that I'm necessarily laughing at her, and I am. But I remember she had come home, 22 years old. She's like, Dad, like, when am I gonna have my break? Really? You're 22 years old and you're wondering when you're gonna have your break? Overnight success takes 15 to 20 years. And I asked your kids, do they have the courage to do the little things that other people aren't willing to do? Do they have the courage to put the time in every day? And I think what we need to do, instead of giving our children this false sense of entitlement and telling them you're special, and they are special. Your kids are special, but they're no more special than any other child. But they're special to you. They're your special. But this false sense of entitlement that we give our kids is affecting them in a negative way, because they start thinking the world owes me something. World owes them nothing. And you agree, right? But has the world ever just given you something? No, you work for it. You don't show up in a new job. Hi, I'm here. I should get paid today, right? No, you go and you work. 2 weeks? I got to work 2 days and you're going to pay me? That's right. You have to work for it. And some of you were asking, my kid's 28 years old and he's living at home. He's living in my basement. He's got a master's degree, but he can't get a job. He won't even go to McDonald's. And he's laying there 2 in the morning in the basement, sitting on a beanbag naked, eating Fritos, watching late night television, asking, why did my life turn out? Because the kid don't know what it means to struggle. I'll ask you, what do you want of your children? Jeff, I want my kids to be happy. I want my kids to be good. And then I want my kids to make good choices, and I want them to have a good attitude. And if they make good choices and they have a good attitude, they're going to be happy. Well, Jeff, what does all this have to do with what we're going through? It has a lot to do with what we're going through. I stood before you kids the past 2 days and I told them about me a little. I was abused as a child. My mom and dad are both alcoholics. I grew up and I graduated high school 128 out of 133 students. I was rejected by 16 of the 19 colleges that I applied to. Grew up with a learning disability, a stutter, a twitch. My dad's been a drunk since Vietnam. And if you would have asked me 6 months ago, hey, Jeff, did you ever have a male role model, a good male figure in your life? I would have said no. My dad just got out of alcohol rehab for the first time in his life. And I'll tell you who my hero is now. My dad. My dad's been sober since like the end of October. It was Labor Day weekend, I think September 2nd, 3rd. We had a big dinner at my house. My mom, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my grandmother. I made a big honkin' prime rib dinner. I make good prime rib. And my dad said he wasn't coming. He was drunk. I said, don't come then. But my dad came and he was loud. That's my dad. So that night, about midnight, they got home. My mom called me about a half hour later, hysterically crying. She says, you need to come over now. I got to my parents' house. My dad had taken a gun and threatened to kill the whole family. I called the police. My dad got arrested. The next day, my dad remembered none of it. I sat down with my dad. I said, Dad, I said, you promised me. You promised me that you can't stop drinking on your own, then you promised me that you'll go and get help, and you know that I said that I'll do it with you. My dad says, I know. I said, then you need to keep your word. Next day, nobody could find my dad. About 12 noon, my dad called me. I said, Dad, where are you? He said, I'm down in Wilmington, North Carolina. I decided to check myself in. I said, why didn't you let me go with you? He said, nope, I got to do this on my own. And every single weekend I was down there to support my dad. You see, ladies and gentlemen, something about mental health. It's not an individual thing. My dad, 2 tours in Vietnam. My dad was orphaned as a child. My dad was shot down in a helicopter. My dad worked as an air traffic controller. When 9/11 happened, he was the supervisor of all the Northeast airspace. He's the one that had to call timeout and shut it down. My sister was a flight attendant, and her son Patrick, who has autism, woke up that morning and was flipping out. And for some reason, my sister said, I can't work today. But her roommate decided to go to work for her. And her roommate was killed. My dad suffers depression. My dad suffers PTSD. My mom suffers it. My brother has it. My sister suffers. I suffer from depression. I suffer from anxiety. I'm diagnosed with bipolar type 2. I lost a marriage because I have bipolar. I have PTSD. Mental health is real. But I know there's this stigma, and some of you, you don't want to admit it. No, I don't believe it. You know, Jeff, I don't agree with you because, you know, doctors today, let's medicate all of our kids. I don't think that's fair that you say that. Are you a doctor? No, I'm sorry, you know better. I'm generalizing. Please understand that. But you know what I think we should do? We should let our doctors make the proper diagnosis. And we should honor and respect that. The same way that I think we should let our teachers teach. And we should honor and respect the work that they're doing. Where did it change? When you were growing up, probably like I was growing up, my mom and dad didn't need to say, son, the teacher called. I would like to hear your story. I'm not sure. Okay, yep, The teacher's old. Yeah. Teacher's dumb. Yeah. I think you're right. My mom and dad never needed to talk to me. Wait till your father gets home. Oh no, Mama, I'm sorry, Mama. But you know something, come to think about it, my mama never had to talk to my dad. Because my mom had a wooden clog. You remember those days? And I grew up in Long Island where women have big hair. And they wore big clogs. And my mom was an artist with that clog. She could be like, Jeffrey ain't paying attention. Oh no, you don't need to worry about calling me again because I'll fix this right now. Thank you for calling. Click. I'd be upstairs in my bedroom. My mama would be in the kitchen. And my mama would take that clog and the clog would go right down the hall, round the stair post. It would go up the stairs in my room, hit me in the head, and like a boomerang, it went right back there. She's like, don't mess up again. Okay, Mama. Where did it happen today that we don't give our teachers respect? If your child comes home and they got a bad grade on the report card, your teachers don't say, I don't like Johnny. I'm going to just give him a 0. I'll tell you what happened. Johnny isn't prepared. Johnny don't come to school. Johnny don't do his homework. Johnny doesn't turn his work in. Johnny just sits there and doesn't participate in class. So let's put the responsibility where it belongs. Is it the teacher or is it Johnny? It's Johnny. I said to the kids the past couple days, I met a lot of them. We're talking a lot about family, talking about some of the challenges. And I asked all the kids, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? I want the kids to come up with a plan. And I know there's challenges between our parents and our kids. There's this miscommunication. Dr. Stephen Covey, I love what he said in I can't think of his book. That's Napoleon Hill. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective. That's right, I'm smart. He says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. What a great concept. And so, well, Jeff, I'm the parent. I know, but yes, you are. Yes, you do. But generations have changed. Our kids have changed. Is it fair? No. But is it society? Yes. Is it generation? Yeah. Technology has changed. And so what I want our children to do, that I talk to them, let's stop and take a deep breath. Let's not react, let's respond. But how do we expect our children to respond when we as parents are reacting? They get angry, we get angry. What does that accomplish? So I challenge you, you're the parent, you're the adult, you know better. Let's put a time out. Let's step back. How about we come back in about a half hour? And let's have a mature conversation. And then sometimes we say, tell me what you're thinking. And then maybe you say, can I tell you how I feel? And I feel that maybe you're not doing things I ask you to do. I feel that I work so hard providing for you, putting food on the table, giving the clothes you want, and then I just ask you to set the table or unload the dishwasher and you like blow up. You see, one thing that we can't do is we can't just say, clean your room. Yeah, I agree. Their room should be clean. That's where organization, time management, self-esteem, I think it comes from the bedroom. And if they don't do it, we want to scold them. We want to get angry. Maybe it's like, time. Honey, here's why I want you to clean your room. And you kind of explain to them. My parents kicked me out of the house. When I was 19 years old, I found myself walking the streets of New York. And me, like your kids, I had this chip on my shoulder. I'm walking around the streets like, yo, you don't know me. Yo, who are you to judge me? You don't walk in my shoes. You ain't never been where I've been. You don't got to see what I see, do what I do. Yo, you don't know what it's like to go home and not know, is my dad going to be home? Is my dad not going to be home? Where's my dad today? You don't know what it's like to go home and watch your dad hit your mama, but you can't say nothing for the fear that you might get beat next. You want to judge me? And so what our kids are doing is they're pushing away the messengers. You, our parents, we're pushing you away because you don't understand. And sometimes we look at our kids, you know, when I was your age, they don't care about you when you were their age. Because they don't think that way. They push away their teachers. They're pushing away their coaches. Let me ask you this question as a parent. If your child is hurting, if your child has emotional struggles and issues, and you think maybe there's signs or symptoms of depression, and I don't want to go into it because the signs and the symptoms are as simple as you just having common sense. They're acting irrational. having a temper tantrum. They're not eating as much. They're sleeping too much. The simple things that bring us to sadness are very similar to the things that are leading someone to think about contemplating their life. And with teenagers today, part of the challenge is our mental health community says, Jeff, our teenagers are making decisions before we even get to know that there's a problem. Let me tell you why. Because they don't want to be a burden anymore to you. They want to be a burden. Life is too hard. They don't want to have to go through this. They don't want to disappoint you. And so sometimes we find a suicide today is a cry for help that has immediately gone wrong. So my question to you is simply this. If your child is struggling, your child is hurting, your child is in emotional pain, the question I ask us as the parents and the community is simply this. Does your child feel comfortable that they can go to you and say, Mom, Dad, I need someone to talk to, without you judging or trying to fix them, or worse, telling them to get over it? Can your child go to you? Don't answer, just think it to yourself. And my response to you is, if you say, I'm not sure, Jeff, I don't know, then we need to reevaluate our parenting, huh? Are you a perfect parent? Are you? Glad you two are here. You know, my greatest regret is I wasn't a good enough parent. Is there anyone here that's a perfect parent? But we strive to be the best parent that we can be. I want everyone in this room, not just parenting, I want us to strive to be the best husband. I want us to strive to be the best wife, the best child, the best son, the best mom, the best daughter, the best student. I want you to be the best supporter of our community, the best supporter of our teachers. I want us to strive and just try and be the best. When I'm walking the streets of New York, I'm pushing them away. And I share with your kids, we do that. But every one of you in this room right now, you'll agree, we reach 30, 40, 50, and all of a sudden, we stop caring about what people think so much, right? And we start to lose our ego, and we open our heart. And that's what I said to the kids. Hey, yo, whoa, stop. Take a deep breath, man. Lose your ego and open your heart. And if you have a trusted adult in your life, someone whose opinions you value, an adult that you respect, go to them. And you say, well, Jeff, my kids won't come to me. I understand. Let me share with you how I talk to my daughters. I'm kind of a big guy. 6'1", I'm 200 and a lot of pounds. My daughters are all small. And they like to sit on the floor. I don't mind sitting on the floor. Getting off! That's another issue. Let me tell you how we should converse. Remember when you were young, you're sitting in class and the teacher, the coach, stood over you like this, and whoa, that's the authority figure. Mr. Boggs stands up here looking all sexy with the jacket and tie. He's got... He just shook his head. Jeff, I'm sorry I brought you to the community. Awkward, awkward, funny, funny. But you see someone dressed like that, you see the parent over the child, and it's intimidating, right? And you're going to have a conversation with your child. Maybe you come to that comfortable place in the house and you sit down, they're sitting down. You lean back, give them permission to lean back. Maybe you're talking, or your husband or wife comes home and they're complaining about something. And sometimes we want to fix it. Gentlemen, we want to fix our wives' problems. Guys, we do that. We fix it. I know the answer. Just, get over it. It's all right. You got a paycheck. And so as parents, we want to fix our kids. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't fix kids. You fix cats and dogs. You don't fix kids. And one of the things I learned is, honey, are you telling me that because you're venting? And you want me to listen? Or are you telling me that because you want my opinion? Rarely do your kids want your opinion. But what I've come to learn is the more you're willing to listen, the more they're going to tell you, and probably the less you want to know. I ask you as parents to understand that we have an issue in our home. We all do. And so we need to address this issue in our home. And where does it start? Communication, togetherness and understanding, unconditional love and support. I'm proud of you. It's going to be okay. You're doing good. You asked me if I think I'm beautiful, and I said no. I don't think I'm beautiful because I've been told by many that I'm not. I don't think I'm beautiful because people point out the little things like my acne. I don't think I'm beautiful because society doesn't think I'm beautiful. I don't have the perfect face. I don't have the perfect body that everyone is looking for. That is why I don't think I'm beautiful. I asked your kids yesterday, I asked them, I asked one girl, I asked a bunch of girls, I said, when you go home and look in the mirror, I said, do you see a woman that's as beautiful on the inside as you are on the outside? You know what she said? And I ask that question every single day. Where does our child's self-esteem come from? It should come from our home. It should come from you, mom and dad. But I know you're so busy. What do you think is the average amount of time that families spend in meaningful conversation every single day? In a 24-hour period, what do you think is the average amount of time that a family spends in meaningful conversation? Anybody? 15 minutes? Huh? 40, 10? Who said 3? 3 minutes? Terrible, sir.
How about a couple hours?
Don't do drugs, miss. If you're spending a couple hours of meaningful conversation with anyone, you're a gem.
I do, every day.
High five. Chest bump. Awkward. The average amount of time the average family spends in meaningful conversation, 30 seconds a day. That's 3.5 minutes a week. You know, think about it. You're driving your kids to school. Kids plug themselves in right away, right? And you just drive them and you're thinking, this could be valuable time. They don't want to talk to me. They ain't listening to me. Why don't you just make a rule and say, when we're in the car, you turn that off? And maybe you just turn on music. Maybe their music, you slowly work into it. I know, I hate their music too. I'm like, yo, turn on some Kenny G or something. But we want to build a relationship, don't we? And the child is going to come to you when they know that you're kind of cool, when they can trust you. But that time together in a car can be pretty valuable. Hey man, you have a good day today. I know you got that spelling test. Just do the best you can. You remember when you and I were growing up and we'd go outside and we'd play. We'd go play kick the can. We'd go climb the tree. We'd go play kickball, beat up the neighbor. Kids don't do that no more, do they? What do you think is really affecting kids today? Huh? I hear video games, I hear social media. You're right. Rap music. I kind of agree with that a little bit. You can't really take your kid's cell phone away because everyone has cell phones, and if you take their cell phone away, now they're growing up and they're different from the way their other kids are growing up. So that is not fair to your child. But what we can do is teach them about appropriate use of their cell phones. Our kids sleep with their cell phones. Why? How many of you have your kids say, well, my kid tells me that they use it as an alarm clock? Stupid. Go to Target, go to Walmart, go to Kmart, and buy your kid an alarm clock. I think at 10 o'clock at night, my kids don't sleep with a cell phone. I take it away. You want to know why? Because your kid goes in the bedroom and they're on their phone all night. They're telling you at 10 o'clock they're going to bed. Oh no, at 10 o'clock they're going to bed. They're not going to sleep. And they're on the phone texting. Notifications come through the night. How many of you agree with me? Jeff, nothing good happens after midnight. I know. My daughter came home one night after midnight on a first date. That was stupid. And the boy's name, his name is Decatur. I ain't never met him yet. And so I found out that she came home late. And so I had to take out my iPhone and make a little video to introduce myself to Decatur. Now, Decatur has a heart condition. That ain't my problem. Decatur's a voluntary firefighter. Oh, I like that. He's a young boy, has a dream. Young boy has a purpose. He brought my girl home late. He brought Pei home late. And the excuse was that when they were out, his beeper that said they had a fire, like these guys over here, the beeper goes off. They just want to be cool. Hey, look at me, I got to go somewhere. And so the beeper goes off, and they run to this like fire. And I says to him in the video, Decatur, I have a problem thinking that at 16 years old, there's a 3-alarm fire, and you get there, and you're like, yo, everyone step back, I got it. I'm kind of thinking at 16 years old, you're like in the learning phase of learning how to put out a fire. And so then they go to dinner, and the dinner comes late. And so on the way home, they stop and get gas, which meant that she's going to come home late. I says in the video, I says, Decatur, you can date Pei as long as you want. I hope you have a very loving and beautiful relationship. I said, but Decatur, you don't look like me and not know people. I said, you ever bring her home? And I'll tell you what, your parents don't like this video, you can have them call me, 1-800, don't bring my girl home late. I said, you ever bring my girl home late one more time, you will go missing. And apparently the parents didn't like that. They accused me of threatening their child. And I did. So they called the police. And the next morning, Joe, police officer, comes to my house. I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Hey, Mr. Yalden, I don't know how you do things up in the north, but we don't do things in the south the way y'all do things up in the north. You threaten the child. I know. I said, Mr. Officer, you have children? Mr. Yalden, that don't matter. We're addressing this issue. I asked you, do you have children? Yes, Mr. Yalden. You have girls? Yes, Mr. Yalden. I said, then maybe you should do things the way we do things in the north, and then the boys won't be bringing your girls home late. Put the responsibility back where it belongs. Teach your boys and girls to be ladies. Teach them to be gentlemen. Teach them about responsibility. Because if you don't teach them about responsibility, your children will grow up and never know what responsibility is. So back to cell phones. Your kids sleep with the cell phone. Notification comes in through the night. What happens, it takes them out of that level 4 sleep. They check the notifications. They want to know what's going on. Is it about me? Who's it about? What are they talking about? And then they have to get back into that level 4 sleep. So they're losing sleep. From a mental health perspective, our teenagers, the average teenager needs 8 hours of sleep a night. The average teenager needs 8 hours of sleep a night. And if your kid is ugly, they need 9. Your kid needs about 12, sir. I like you guys. I know some of you are like, Jeff, wrap this up. My butt's getting hurt. The other thing about cell phones, our kids want to be accepted. So here's what happens. You're 14 years old. You're a little girl, you want a boy to like you. And the boy says, I love you. And the girl's like, I got a boyfriend. I'm so happy. And the boy says, I want you to send me a picture. And I love you. I love donuts. Not the same thing. But I love donuts. I love you. You see, at 13, 12, 14, our kids, I think they can be infatuated. I think they can love someone, but you're not ready. Love is an emotion that means nothing without a commitment, and at such a young age, we're not ready to make that commitment, but girls want to be accepted, so the boy says, send me a picture. Our kids think there's nothing wrong with it. Snapchat was developed so that you can send a picture and it's deleted, but some kids know that they can take a picture of the picture. And so girls say they think nothing of it, of sending a picture. And so what happens? You think that 14-year-old boy goes in the cafeteria and says, they're sitting with their boys. And they start to pass the phone around. Or they send the picture to their friends. And here's how quickly the picture goes to 3, now the picture goes to 9, now it goes to 18, now the teacher finds out about it, now the principal finds out about it, now they have to call the police, now there's 13 boys with the picture on their phone, and now they become level 3 sex offenders. And the parents, that's not fair, my child made a mistake. Nothing you can do because it's in the hands of the police. And now the girl is devastated, distraught. Everybody is laughing. We have to change schools to try and start over. Then the girl gets sad and depressed, and the girl contemplates suicide. Jeff, but this is extreme. It's every day. We need to teach our kids about proper cell phone use. You should know what's on your child's phone. You should take their phone. You should know their passwords, which leads me to social media. I think social media is awesome. That's how we got here tonight. But I think social media is also a downfall, a demise of our young people and their self-esteem, because they're valuing themselves as a result of seeing somebody's best selfie moment. So I'm sitting at home because I'm bored. And then my friend takes 732 selfies to get the best one with the sunset going down and people not in the background, but the sky is so beautiful, and the grass and the green, the water, the perfect moment. And they post the best selfie moment out of 732 pictures because that's the perfect moment. And then the girl that's sitting at home thinks that her life is inadequate compared to other people. You know, your kids go to bed at 9, and they go to bed at 9, and that's when they post a picture on Instagram. You want to know why? Because they know that most of their friends are in bed at 9 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock they're going to get the most amount of likes. And if after an hour they don't get a certain amount of likes, they pull the picture down because they don't want people to think that they didn't get likes and they're not popular. If I gave you $1, would you rather 4 quarters or 100 pennies? 4 quarters, right? Less is more. I'm that way with friends. I think friends are really acquaintances. I don't have many friends where I live. Matter of fact, I don't have any friends where I live. I don't even like my neighbors. I don't. Live in $1 million home in a $1 million community, exclusive place in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. My neighbor here is a doctor. This guy, I don't know what he does, but he's rich. And they come into your driveway and they want to look in your garage. Oh, you got a Ferrari, a motorcycle. Oh, that's really nice. Nice home. What do you do? I take care of people. That's all I say. I don't want to be a part of drama. I see Facebook, if I see people being negative or dumb or being rude or inconsiderate or blaming everything on the school, I delete you. Because you know what we're doing? We're deflecting the attention, not taking responsibility, and we're saying it's you. It's not them. You know, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's me. I lost a marriage because I'm bipolar. And when my wife and I, in 17 years, we got divorced, I wrote her a letter. We're still great friends. I said, Marcia, can you do me a favor? Can you write me a letter that I can share with my counselor to explain the little things that go on in my head? She says, I'd be happy to. So she writes me this letter. Dear Jeff, in our 17 years of marriage, I think I know you better than anyone. Yeah, I'm sorry. The one thing that really upset me in my 17 years of being married to you is that you can never remember how I liked my coffee. I don't drink coffee! Why do I care how you like your coffee? Stupid. Anybody think I did her wrong? Why are you shaking your head, pretty lady? Don't look around.
My husband doesn't drink coffee and he knows how I like it.
Well, la-dee-da. Don't you have the perfect, awesome husband? My husband doesn't drink coffee, but he knows how I like it. Is your husband here? Hey, where are you going? Oh. I'm sorry, that just triggered an emotion. I felt like I'm dating again. People are walking out. Hey, miss, you're absolutely right. I did her wrong. But you know something? We'd go through Dunkin' Donuts on the weekend, and I could never remember. I couldn't. But you know, as I look back, I think, I could have written it down, huh? And how hard is that? I did it wrong. And I'm sad about that. But you know something? If I'm ever fortunate enough to get married again, I've learned. And that woman will wake up and her coffee will be made perfectly. Because I went out and bought a Keurig machine. But here's the point. If something so small is important to who my number one is, should that be important to me? And I said that to your children. If something is important to your parents, if something is important to your teachers, if something is important to your coach, then that should be important to you. And I ask you as parents, if something is important to your child, if something is important to your husband, if something is important to your wife, then shouldn't that be important to you? Yeah. You see, we always got to grow. And I've come to learn to look at my life, where I've been, where I am, but more importantly, where I'm going. I don't like where I've been. I don't like the abuse. I don't like the alcoholism. But there comes a time when we have to teach our kids to stop complaining about when they were 2 years old and we tightened their diaper too tight. You know, because we're not perfect, and it's okay to tell your kid, you know what, I make mistakes and I'm sorry. I'm not perfect, but it's not fair that you try and label me as being perfect. I only do the best I can with what I know. But you know what? Where I've been, it's made me who I am. And you know what I like more important? I like where I'm going. When I asked your kids, they go home and they look in the mirror. Are they as beautiful on the inside as they are on the outside? They said no. I want to challenge you, go home and look in the mirror. Because the mirror is honest with you. The mirror tells you more about you than you want to know. Can you go home and look in the mirror and say, am I a good husband? Can you look in the mirror and say, am I a good friend? Can you look in the mirror and say, am I a good mom? Am I a good dad? Am I a good supporter of our school system? Am I a good supporter of my friends? You see, folks, that's mental health. I deal with it. And I spend a lot of time looking in the mirror trying to be the man that I want to be. I want to someday be the man that I want to meet. Social media. Why are our girls taking selfies of the outfit they're wearing so that for the next 2 weeks they can look back at their outfits and know not to wear the same outfit? Why are our kids finding that their lives are inadequate when they're comparing themselves to other people? So our kids are spending over 50 hours a week on screen time, which is leading them to what? They don't have coping skills. They don't have problem-solving skills. They can't think outside the box. They can't communicate. And then you couple that with, you remember years ago we had that term called helicopter parents? And then the term became like lawnmower parents or bulldozer parents. The kids, the expectations from the parents was too much. For kids today, it's not about your expectations anymore. When you have performing schools and standardized tests where we get graded and the expectations we put on our teachers, now the stress within the school that automatically gets fed to the kids. So it's peer-to-peer expectation. And now it's not even just peer-to-peer expectations, but our parents are pushing our kids so hard, the kids are pushing themselves so hard. Now it's like the expectation that they have of themselves. And when the expectation becomes too much, we're ready to toss in the towel. Ready to give up, quit, and walk away. And now we leave a whole community asking Jeff why. We have a whole community in crisis. And it's little things like last night's victory that brings a little bit of happiness. You're not in crisis anymore, my friends. We stepped over the line. We're doing good. And you know what I need you guys to do? I need you to get on social media, and let's not talk about what happened. I don't remember all the names, but I know there was a boy named Wyatt. I know there's a girl named Nicole. I know there's a boy named Chance. You know something, ladies and gentlemen? Wyatt, Nicole, or Chance are not walking through that door. And I'm sorry. I don't want to be insensitive, but I think you understand that, you know what, we can't live in the pain. We need to pick ourselves up, and we need to take our kids and say, we're going places. And I need you to pick yourself up, and if there's a problem, you need to come to me. We're going to go forward. And it's going to be okay. And I need you guys to lead the boat. I need you guys to lead the ship. I need you to be more positive. You can say, you know what, I do miss Wyatt. I miss Nicole. I miss Chance. I miss the other kids. I miss the dad. I know. But we need to let people know it's going to be okay. But 9 years ago, my two daughters, I went through a divorce back when I was 21. And I remember I got a phone call. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and their mom dropped my daughters off at the airport and called me and said, are you free right now? I'm at a conference. I'm like, no. And mom says, you might want to make yourself free. I just dropped your daughters off at the airport, and unless you want them to be homeless, you need to find them a ticket right now, because they're not welcome in my home anymore. I go to Lady brought me, and I'm like, I got to go. I got a family emergency. I got to go right now. Get to the airport, Grand Rapids, Michigan, get on a private plane. Within 2 hours of that phone call, I get to Dayton International Airport. I get off the plane. I walk in front of the airport, sitting on a bench on the other side of the airport. My two daughters were sitting on a bench, and all they had were 3 black trash bags to their name. And I ran over to them, and I gave them a hug, and I said, it's going to be okay. Do you think that when I hugged them and I said that it would be okay, that I knew that it would be okay? No. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know you. Mr. Boggs calls me after one of his teachers called me the day after the loss of Nicole, and the teacher says, Jeff, we need help. And Mr. Boggs says, Jeff, why should I bring you here? I don't know. Well, Jeff, why isn't it people saying to bring you here? I said, Mr. Boggs, let me tell you something. I can't say anything different than what you can say, but sometimes it's just an outside voice that can say things a little bit differently. They see Mr. Boggs every day. And sometimes I can come in and be a little bit less sensitive. It's not that I want to be insensitive, but the reality is this is truth, and we need to go forward. Who's coming with me? Let's go. I know there are many of you that go home and within your 4 walls of your house, life isn't perfect. I know there's drugs. I know there's alcoholism, there's addiction. I know there's abuse. I know there's divorce. I know there's death. I know there's dying. You know something? I go home and my life ain't perfect either. I have a 21-year-old nephew who has autism that lives with me. And I have to deal with the nephew that says, where's my mom? And I can't tell him, your mom is a drug addict and a prostitute that took off with some guy and left you with me. I can't say that. I have to deal with the devil saying, why can't I be normal? But let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. We've all learned in this room that no matter what we go through, it will be okay, right? Amen. It will be okay. But you have to believe. Jeff, what does that mean? If you are willing to do the work as a parent, as an individual, as an adult, no matter what challenge we're faced with, it will be okay. Here's what I've learned. 2 types of people in the world. And there are some people in the room that are this type of person. Never my fault. It's always them. My children are a pain in my butt. My children never listen. My husband is a drunk. My husband is lazy. My husband is selfish. My boss is dumb. Nobody cares about me. My friends are stupid. I want you to be the type of person that takes responsibility. I want you to be the type of person that learns to ask better questions. How can I be a better man? How can I be a better wife, a better husband, a better son, a better daughter, a better student? Put the attention on you because you look in the mirror and you want to be the best you that you can be. I grabbed my daughters and we went home. Expectations, I covered that. Just want to make sure I'm getting through here. I haven't followed this at all. Oh, just give me like 7-8 minutes, we're done. I want my kids to be happy. How can we want our kids to be happy when you don't even know what happiness is? I can ask you, hey, what's happiness? And some of you be like, my family. Happiness is my community. Happiness is my husband. Happiness is watching the girls' basketball win. Happiness is like I have a job. Happiness is my car. Happiness is my alcohol. Happiness is my God. Happiness is my boat. Happiness is making a lot of money. Happiness is vacation. Happiness is having UGG boots. Happiness is having a lot of friends. When you have depression, you want to know what happiness is? When you struggle every day, you want to know what happiness is? It's every day. That tonight I'm going to leave you and I'm going to leave this community. I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to turn my phone off. I'm going to turn the radio off. I'm going to breathe. And when I get to my hotel tonight, I'm going to lay my head in the pillow and I'm going to ask 3 questions. Number 1, is my life meaningful? If you can't say yes to that question, then make a change. Have the courage to make a change. And then when you do lay your head, you say, yes, my life is meaningful. Is my life fulfilling? Have a purpose that is bigger than you. Be a better family man. Be a better husband. Be a better wife. Be a better teacher. Be an inspiration to someone. Your purpose is bigger than you. Your life will be fulfilling. Is my life rewarding? Is my life meaningful, fulfilling, and rewarding? And if you can say yes to those 3 questions, you're going to be happy. And we tell our kids set goals and have a dream. What's happened to us? We're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and we've reached that place they call the destination. I've achieved my dream, only to look back on the life and say, what? I didn't appreciate the journey. That's what we need to teach our kids, that our life is not about then. Our life is about now. Our life is what we as a community, we just dealt with, we're dealing with. And if you could appreciate now the little things in life, then someday you'll appreciate what that can be all about. We spend a lot of time asking the kids where they want to go to college. I was guilty. We spend a lot of time asking kids, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Who cares? I want our kids to wake up every day with a passion. I want our kids to wake up and be enthusiastic about something. And I promise you, if your kid is enthusiastic about something, your kid is passionate about something, you don't have to worry about your kid being 28 living in your basement, because it's going to work out for them. Encourage your kids to find a passion. Encourage them to have that enthusiasm. You know what I asked? I asked your kids if they've ever been disappointed. Oh, yeah. When you come to school, you expect your peers are going to be nice to you? Some of them say, yeah, I expect so. Some of them, no. I hear from a lot of you guys, Jeff, I'm tired of the bullying. And every time I go to the school, they don't do anything. You haven't seen what I've seen with them working tirelessly. Mental health counselors, pastors in here the past couple days, all these teachers saying, we can do more, we want to do more. If your child is being bullied, then you need to teach your child to ignore it. Jeff, it's not that easy. Yes, it is. Tigers don't lose sleep to the opinion of sheep. And the problem is, too many of our kids walk around and they think they're a herd of sheep. You know something? Tell your kids that the world will put them down. To be prepared that the world will ridicule you. The world will make fun of you. The world will tell you you can't do it. You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. You don't have the grades to do it. You're not big enough. You don't have the ability. And I'll tell you what, when our kids can accept that the world is going to do that to them, then go out there and teach our kids, if you can accept that, then also go out there and accept the fact that I'm going to be awesome. You look at Ferguson, St. Louis, all of a sudden started to get ignored. And we've all moved forward. A lot of power in ignoring people. But you can't ignore people unless you believe in you. Ain't about an expectation. We shouldn't expect our school to fix our families. We shouldn't necessarily expect our school to educate our children. Yeah, they'll do their job. I think a lot of education happens in the home. You see, I think we need to focus less on an expectation, because why? Every expectation that's not met brings disappointment, right? So what if we focus on an objective? And the objective is right now, we as a community, let's rally around those girls right now, because it's a happy time. The objective is, I'm going to focus on being the best husband. I'm going to focus on being the best wife. I'm going to focus on being a better mom, a dad, boyfriend, husband, wife, girlfriend. I'm going to focus on just being the best me that I could be. You see, the objective tonight wasn't me walking in this door and having 1,000 parents say, oh, I like you, Jeff. Thanks for coming to the community. I didn't come to the community to have you guys all walk away and say, oh, I like Jeff. I don't care. What's the worst thing to happen? Mr. Boggs may never invite me back to your community? Oh no, ruin my career. I haven't been here 23 years. You think I care if I come back? I came here with an objective that I was going to leave a mark. I came here with an objective that I was going to shake things up. I came here to give my heart to your kid's heart. I came here tonight because I appreciate that you have taken the time to come. I didn't care about a microphone, a sound system, the lights. I don't care the damn thing is being taped. And it's like, Jeff, you can't say that because now I care. I don't care about that. I care that you go home and you say, you know what, I'm changing that 30 seconds to 3 minutes this week. And you know what? Next week I'm going to go 3 minutes. I'm going 4 minutes. I'm going to set boundaries with my kids. I'm going to stop thinking so much of my personal time and my personal affairs and my personal life, and I'm going to get my family in order. It's not about the goals, it's not about the dream, but it's about being in purpose every day. And drugs, they take us out of purpose. Alcohol takes us out of purpose. Negative influences takes us out of purpose. Death and dying takes us out of purpose. Friends and negativity takes us. I don't have a job, I'm out of purpose. I can't put food on the table, I'm having trouble struggling. Get back in purpose and go forward. It takes 2 seconds to get out of purpose, and for some people it takes 30 years to get back in purpose. But you want to know why we don't talk to kids about a purpose? Because you can't give them a sticker. Because you can't praise them. Because you can't give them a trophy. Purpose doesn't have a beginning and a purpose doesn't have an end. But you know why I wake up? Because my purpose is your kids. And I'll tell you something. I can't love your kids more than you should love them. Your purpose is what brings you the goals. Your purpose is what accomplishes the dream. And don't expect your kids to have a purpose if you don't have a purpose. What are you going to do? Objective over expectation. I want to leave you with this. I wanted to be nice tonight. My wife's grandpa was 95 years old. He came over for Thanksgiving. He showed up in his Cadillac. He had 11 of them. Not at the same time. Dropped out of school in the 8th grade. Never had to go to the Second World War because he started a business. Provided food for the community. Ended up owning a shopping center, mobile home park, gas stations, car dealerships. Invested with Coca-Cola and Mobil Oil. Greatest man I ever met. And I remember sitting there that one day thinking, I want to spend more time with him. He only lived 3 miles away. So I remember almost every day I was home, I'd start my day by going to see my wife's grandpa. I'd pull in the driveway, I'd walk up the patio. He'd be sitting in that beautiful bay window in his chair. And I remember walking up there thinking, Grandpa's waiting for me. He wasn't waiting for me. He was 95 years old. When you're 95 years old, you don't go far. You go from your bedroom to your chair to the bedroom, bedroom, chair, bedroom, chair, bedroom, chair, bathroom, chair. Sometimes you go to the bathroom in your chair. 95 years old, I just peed my pants. Ha ha! I love old people. You know why grandchildren and grandparents get along so well? Because between the grandchildren and the grandparents, you have a common enemy. Our kids wake up, they want to look good, smell good. Old people wake up and they're just like, it's going to be a good day. Ain't I right, sir? I appreciate you guys coming. I remember I'd walk in his house. You had to shake his hand. My wife's grandpa would always invite me to sit down. You know one thing I'm proud of? Never once did I ever sit down until he invited me to sit down. How you doing, Grandpa? Good? It's good. How you feeling? Good? It's good. You look good. Nice day, huh? Sky is out. Sky is always out. And my wife's grandpa would just sit there like, like he was just happy to be there. And my wife, he never talked. But when he did talk, you listen. And I remember some of the things he would say. He didn't talk about his money. He didn't talk about his home. He didn't talk about his cars. The three most powerful words that you can say to someone: I love you. His other favorite: the three. Everything was three to him. Most courageous words that you can share with someone: I'm sorry. I know. It confused me too. Because I was like, Grandpa, that's two. You're wise, but. He didn't say but. He said, never mind. I remember his last words. 97 years old. You know, I've been thinking. 97 years old, that's all you get to do is think. We never have time to do things right. But we always have time to do things over. I know, we just do it right the first time. The next day I went to his house. I walked up the patio and he wasn't sitting in his chair. And I walked in the house and he was laying on the kitchen floor about 20 feet away. He had fallen and broken his hip. He couldn't get up. I get down on my knees and I said, Grandpa's going to be okay. And I called 911 and they came. They rushed him off to the hospital. They did emergency surgery. The whole family came in that night. We gathered around his bed. Grandpa was sleeping and the family decided to go out to dinner that night. And as the family was going out to dinner, we're walking out there. My wife stops and she says, honey, why don't you stay with Grandpa? I said, why don't you stay with him? He's your grandpa. And my wife looked at me and she said, everybody in the family thinks that Grandpa would like it best if you were there, because you were the closest one to him. Okay, I'll stay. Never forget that night. The glow of the machines lit up the room. Grandpa slept. I sat there. Learned how to spell the word love that night. T-I-M-E. Time. Next morning, his heart capacity was at less than 10%. Doctors called the family. Family came in. Doctor said, listen, I'm sorry. I don't think he's going to make it. We give him maybe 48 hours to live. We think you should prepare your goodbyes. The family went back and sat with them. We laughed. We cried. The family went out to dinner that night. I says, I'm not going. We sat there that night and I held his hand. I said, I love you, Grandpa. Thank you. You can go, Grandpa. We'll be okay. I'll take care of the family, I promise. It's about 7:30 that morning. My wife's grandpa slept into his deep sleep. He never woke up. I want to ask you a question as we get ready to end. If you have somebody in your life that was given less than 1 month to live, and you could say anything to that person, who would that person be? What would you say? And why haven't you done it? When you walk out of here tonight, let's all just go look in the mirror and be like, I'm going to be the best person I can be. We're going to rally around our kids. We're going to rally around each other. If any of you are interested, I'm going to be here for a while. I wrote a book, and then I read it. I wrote it. I wanted to read it. And I thought it was pretty good, so I published it. The book is titled Your Life Matters. If any of you want a copy, the book is $10. I also have an anger management shirt. I didn't share with you the story of my anger management therapy that I got kicked out of. I got kicked out of anger management. Can you believe that? The shirt is The Unlikely Life Coach, and on the back it's got my favorite quote. Anger is like pee in your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel it. The t-shirts are $20, and I've got a bunch of DVDs out there. They're each $20, and I've got to take time to think lanyard. They're $3. Ladies and gentlemen, my final words are simply this. You have one hell of a community. Your kids were awesome. Mr. Boggs, you and your staff, amazing. My visit was beautiful. I loved seeing the girls play last night. I loved meeting your kids. The only thing that I would try and work on is getting Ann to shoot better free throws. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. Please say hello and see the girls sing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.